morning, Philadelphia, and good night, Tokyo. As my great Uncle Seamus used to say, you must treat your lawnmower as you would a beautiful woman. Lock 'em both in the shed so your hippie neighbors can't steal them. I don't have a great Uncle Seamus. And please, dear God, do not lock anybody in a shed, regardless of their gender or physical appearance. And if your neighbors are plotting to steal your lawnmower, you know, we mostly live in civilized countries. Please contact the proper authorities. Unless you're one of those barbarians who lives in Canada. I mean, can't you play a sport with a ball like the rest of planet Earth? Never mind. As you can see, this just transitions seamlessly into this week's game. Lisa. Or rather, Lisa, as it is spelled. It's a post-apocalyptic, a word that I cannot say, especially when I'm talking on camera, but I can usually say when I'm standing in my closet practicing lines. A turn-based RPG, designed by Dingaling Productions in 2014 for PC. And no, I don't know why they named their game studio that. This game is a rather unique journey through a bizarre post-apocalyptic setting, and it's definitely not a game for everybody. Trust me, if you're about 12 or 13, I'm not sure I would actually be comfortable with you watching this as a content creator. It has a lot of very mature topics, mature language, some nasty visuals, so just a heads up for you younger viewers out there. Just trying to be a nice guy, guys. I won't comment saying like, you're insulting the intelligence and exposure of my 12-year-old developing mind. I mean, look, doesn't mean you have to fill it with smut. I'm not saying this is smut, it's just very mature, and I really should stop talking and just finish this. Because the end of the world, and I feel slightly nauseated.
Lisa is an extraordinarily dark game. It starts out with a very gritty main story. You start as Brad, a character with severe emotional trauma from childhood abuse by his father, who has turned to severe substance abuse in his middle-aged. I mean, he carries on the not-so-proud tradition of middle-aged, out-of-shape drug addict heroes in RPGs, which is actually not really a tradition at all, but hey, you know, maybe it should be one. You know what? We've discriminated against this cross-section of the population for too long. Out-of-shape, middle-aged drug addicts. I don't know where I'm going with this. Just bear with me a little bit longer. So, this game is filled with characters like Brad, creepy, disturbing, yet strangely lovable and rootable for characters, even though they're also weird and creepy. This game shouldn't work. The story shouldn't work. The setting is nuts. It looks like Arizona. It looks like the Grand Canyon after Ozfest went wrong. I mean, it's just weird. There's graffiti all over the place with half-naked people dressed like relics of some Kiss concert. It's weird. It's like the 80s in the future, and Mad Max had a weird baby with some sort of freaky JRPG that came out of the womb of Mother from Earthbound. This thing is... The world in this is a train wreck, and there's no women. Don't you think that's kind of inherently sexist? I'm just throwing this out there. For example, think about like an all-female race. Like the, what's the Dingles? The Asari? Is it Asari? The Asari from Mass Effect, they're all women, and they're one of the most powerful races in all of the universe. However, here we just have a bunch of men sitting around binge drinking and whining and getting into fights. Is that really? I mean, well, I guess it's a personal gripe. Where am I going with this? Somebody will tell me soon where I'm going with this, you know. So, you know, I would really appreciate it if you guys would, you know, kind of like, comment, subscribe. I know this is kind of a weird way to begin a video, but I just thought I might throw it in there. It's just a subliminal message. Advertising companies want your soul, kids. And they will come to your house and eat your eyeballs with a spork. The gameplay of Lisa is generally solid. It consists of exploring a 2D side-scrolling world, a la Super Mario World, something to that effect, where you're, walking along from side to side, occasionally you jump up or jump down. Exploration is rewarded in this game, which is nice, it's helpful. You can go around and find all sorts of useful things just laying around. The empty bottles are really important. Just a heads up, you guys now. It's like the entire universe has been binge drinking and throwing all of the bottles in the desert, and they come in a lot of handy, because you can use them for all kinds of things. So remember this: if you're lost in the wilderness and all the women on planet Earth are dead, pick up some empty bottles, because you never know when you might need to make a Molotov cocktail or drink soup. Okay, you got that? Okay, great, we're moving on. Okay, so the other part of this consists of turn-based battles. The turn-based battles are, and they're nothing incredibly special as far as actual battle mechanics go. I mean, you have your basic turn-based, speed decides who goes first. One of the fun parts is that your main character, Brad, who is screwed up as he is, does have a really cool battle system where you get to get him to punch and kick and do things in different combos by hitting WASD. And these combos can connect and do extra damage, and you can chain them together, sort of, which is kind of cool. It's very exciting. I mean, it's not always as rewarding as you expect it to be, and it's honestly really hard to figure out, because it's really mostly just a shot in the dark, which I am disappointed by, I'm not going to lie. But the great thing about the battles is the humorous dialogue. I mean, for Pete's sakes, they even go to the fact of, they go to the trouble of naming, each and every NPC that you come across and fight. And they usually have humorous, unique dialogue, which is, it's special, especially for an indie game. It's really nice to see, somebody not just saying, oh, you killed skeleton, skeleton, and skeleton, using an RPG constant, but to fight individually named enemies. It's very cool. It's exciting. It makes you feel more engaged. It makes you feel a little bit sad when you kill somebody. I mean, when you kill somebody off, sad music plays, they kind of slowly fade out. You see yada yada died. It's depressing. The other part of gameplay that really isn't involved in battle or exploration is decisions. You are constantly making decisions that have great bearing over the story. For example, just about a half hour or so into the game, you are tasked with deciding whether or not you are completely stripped of all your inventory items, or your first player companion is sacrificed to a bunch of bandits. Now, to be honest, I accidentally chose to sacrifice my companion, even though he's useless. He is completely useless, but he's a human, and you can sacrifice him for material gain of yourself. Forcing you to make decisions like this is like, this game ruins your soul. It gets in there and it digs its fingernails into your kidney and starts ripping at your heart through your kidney. That's how the anatomy works in this game, in life, in this place that we live. I don't know how I'm going to finish this right now, but just remind everyone that bottles are important. Bottles are very important, and I really need to work on my segues, don't I? Yeah, I'm kind of phoning it again this week. It's Sunday night. I worked a night shift. I'm really tired, and I have to get this ready by tomorrow. I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but I just thought you might like to know. What am I still talking for? Okay, next segment. I do have two fairly minor beefs with the control scheme of Lisa. One is moving around using the arrow keys. This is by far the more minor of the two. It's not really all that big of a deal, and when you consider that you use the space bar to jump and then come down from ledges, it works alright. It just isn't quite what I'm used to. I'm more used to moving around with WASD. I'm sure most of you PC people are. It also transfers right into battle, because you're using the WASD for combos in battle. It just seemed to be an easier transfer for me, but that's just my personal opinion. Now, the bigger beef is with the WASD keys in battle. They lag, and they lag very, very badly. I don't know if it's just a problem with my game or if that's just how they were designed. Sometimes I hit buttons, nothing happens. I try to hit combos in order quickly, and nothing happens. Sometimes the middle of it will pop up, sometimes the end of it will pop up. It's just not very appealing. It should be very rewarding to do these combos, and it is fun to do them when they work right, but they just don't always work right, and I find that really does take away from the battle experience, so I'm not happy at all with that aspect of the controls. Now, aesthetically, Lisa is a very hard game to find fault with. The pixel art is excellent. Characters are rendered in very good detail. Even just random NPCs look cool. The world is built in a very consistent and very enjoyable manner. It's fun to look at, even though some of it's gross. I mean, even the blood splatters are cool to look at. The graffiti is painted on there very nicely. You get to explore some very nifty environments, all with a great soundtrack. The soundtrack itself is, it's not even really the style of music that I'm usually into, but it's catchy in its own weird, quirky way. It's not really what you think of as, a great soundtrack. It doesn't have the big orchestral thumping, memorable, but it just gets in your head. It's very cool. It's very atmospheric. The lines of the characters are written very well. There's no voice acting of any kind, but still, the world is built very well. It's a very fun world to explore. It is very visually appealing. The soundtrack makes it a place you can get lost in this world, which is something that's very hard to accomplish from a game that uses such old school graphics. It's very impressive. You can tell that the creators of this game took a lot of time and devoted it to the aesthetics aspect, to the visuals, to the sound, and it's rewarding to feel that somebody put a lot of time and effort into that, and it does deserve a lot of recognition. This is what gives the game a lot of its charm, owing just so much to that soundtrack and the world that it builds. And it's a very nice, solid picture of what a game can do outside of gameplay to make it appealing.
To finish things up, Lisa is a game that I will give a good score. However, it is a game that I find very hard to recommend. If you watch this video and you think you're interested in Lisa, you probably will be. If you're a fan of RPGs, especially things along the line of Fallout, you would probably enjoy this more. I'm not that big of a fan of Fallout, but I in fact enjoy this game. However, it's definitely not a game for everyone. It takes a lot of dark and sometimes disgusting and or disturbing twists. Sometimes they even make me uncomfortable. Look, it's not an easy game to play. It gets inside your head and really messes with a lot of emotions and feelings. However, it's not necessarily a game that's easy to relate to. Outside of the main character, Brad, we don't get, honestly, any character development from side characters, even though they are lovingly crafted with their own names and special appearances and special abilities and personalities. They don't really go anywhere as characters, which is actually very disappointing for me. So like I said, this game will get a very nice rating. However, I'm not just going to go out there and say I recommend it. I had a lot of bugs when I was playing. I had lag. I had, on one computer, it wouldn't even open, or actually, it worked very briefly, and then I saved, shut it down, tried to start it up again, and it didn't work at all. Lags, graphical stuff. I mean, it's a pixel art game. It really shouldn't be lagging that hard on a pretty solid computer. So, if you think you like this game, then I'd say go and buy it by all means. You'll probably get a lot out of it. If this game turns you off from it, then no, don't get it. I wouldn't advise you to buy it then. Alrighty, so have a good night. Do whatever it is that you people do, so long as it is not locking somebody in a shed. Please, no sheds.